In this video, we're going to talk about how to find subject to deals or potential deals that could be a subject to. Well, it's not like you're going to find people out there advertising, take over my payments, just take over my property. So what we're going to talk about is places you'll find people that will be likely candidates that you can have a discussion with them about it, and then we'll talk about what to say over the phone and how to negotiate it in person and how to handle objections and so forth. Okay, so the first one would be Craigslist. A lot of people have told me they looked on Craigslist and they haven't found any deals. Well, of course you're not going to find any deals that you're looking for that fit the bill of a subject to. You rarely find someone who says own or carry, and you rarely find someone who says, hey, I'm desperate, come make me a crazy offer. I mean, people are just not going to advertise like that. So you have to kind of read between the lines and look for potential candidates. The most obvious one that I found that works is the person who's advertising in the for rent section, not the for sale section. For rent section that says for sale or rent or for a sale or lease. And that person probably tried to sell it, couldn't, can't afford the payment, and is trying to rent it for a while and ultimately wants to sell it. That person is the perfect candidate. If you see an out-of-state phone number, that's a real good one. So you can actually, if you go in Craigslist under the for rent section and then put a search parameter, put the word sale, you will find ones that come up with the word sale in the lease section. Now, some of them may be a false positive, like, we're in an apartment building, we're having a sale this month. But if you find ones that say also for sale or lease or for sale or rent, that's a good potential candidate for someone who might do a subject to. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. You also might want to advertise on real estate services that you take over payments, even if you have no equity. We buy houses and that type of thing, which you won't get a ton of responses like that. Under the for sale by owner, that's a difficult one because, again, a lot of for sale by owners are not very bright. They think they could sell it without a real estate agent, so they're just testing the market. Or maybe you get lucky and find someone who doesn't have enough equity to do a deal with a real estate agent, and therefore it could be a possible subject too. But you get mostly knuckleheads advertising in for sale by owner. Look more in the for rent section, not the for sale by owner. Okay, number 2, expired listings. Now, if you search through the internet, there are many services that offer properties that were listed that have expired their listing. Okay? Now, some are a false positive, meaning the listing expired, but then they just changed realtors and relisted it. But if they're truly an expired listing and they couldn't sell it for, let's say, 6 months or 3 months in a market where things normally move pretty quickly, that could be a good candidate for contacting that person, either a door knock or a mailer, or seeing if you can cross-reference their name in whitepages.com and find their phone number. So that could be a good possibility. Number 3, foreclosures. Now, the good and bad of foreclosures is they're obviously motivated. They have a deadline. They're obviously behind in payments, and then they're not going to have a big objection about someone taking over their payments and making up the back payments. So those are all the good things. The bad part is everybody chases foreclosures. There's a lot of competition, so it's hard to get the homeowner's attention with all the mailings and things people do. I would recommend that you just door knock. If you're not going to door knock, don't bother with mailers. They won't pay attention. They get literally dozens and dozens of mailers from all kinds of investors, brokers, attorneys, mortgage companies. So the mailer is not going to work very well. Just go and knock on the door. Okay. And also the problem with foreclosures is a lot of banks are waiting a long time before they're foreclosing. So if, for example, the bank waited 18 months and then started the foreclosure, that's 18 payments you may have to make up to take it subject to, which really may kill the numbers. Unless there's enough equity, it doesn't make sense to make $20,000 in back payments and take it subject to if there's only $10,000 in equity. Does that make sense? A better list, I think, is what we call mortgage lates. These are people who are a few payments behind, 30, 60, 90 days, and this is not public record. This comes from credit bureaus. They will sell you a list of people who are 30, 60, 90 days late on their mortgage. So less competition because it's not public. It's also a fairly pricey list, so less people buy it. And you're not worried about the fact that there's 18 payments to make up. It could be only 2 or 3 payments, so that's good. The bad news is they're not under a deadline yet. There's no foreclosure started, so they may not be quite as motivated as someone who's in foreclosure. But I think that's a good list for you to mail notices to. And by the way, don't mail, when you're talking about mailings, which we'll talk about a little more in a little bit, don't mail to them and say, I know you're behind in your payment and I'd like to solve your problem, because they're going to throw it out. Make it more random. Make it more like, hey, I was driving by your house and 221 Main Street, and my wife and I are looking to buy a house in Shady Acre Estates, and yours really caught our eye, and we're really looking to move quickly on this, so give us a call. Now, what you've implied is that you and your wife want to move into the house in the neighborhood, and that takes their guard down that you're not an investor. But you didn't say that. That's the way they read it. You just said that you were looking to buy. You didn't say you're looking to move. You said you're looking to move on this quickly, meaning buy a house quickly. So it's kind of a play on words that takes people off their guard, because as soon as they think you're an investor, they think you're out to steal their house or rip them off or whatever. Okay, so that's the type of letter that we usually do to people who are mortgage late and expired listings.